In this video here, we're going to show how to properly calculate average, standard deviation, and relative standard deviation from multiple different samples. So the data that we have here, these are 4 individual replicates of mass measurements of 10 milliliters of water that were collected using different analytical glassware. So we have a graduated cylinder, a volumetric flask, a volumetric pipette, and a Moore pipette. So we want to calculate the average for each of these different sets of data, the standard deviation for each set of data, and the relative standard deviation, which is the standard deviation over the average times 100. So this is a very simple sort of operation on Excel. So we click our first column here for the average for a graduated cylinder. We hit equals and then type in average. So this is going to give us our equation, and then we're just going to drag all the way down, click the top data set, and we are as we're holding down, we're dragging down, press enter, and that gives us our average value. So we could do the same thing for the next few, put equals and then write average and select the data, but there's a shortcut here that will make our lives a lot easier. And so to do this shortcut, when you have this completed equation down here, we're going to, you can see that we're highlighted in green here. If we center our cursor over the bottom right-hand corner, you can see that the plus sign has turned from being a white plus sign to a black plus sign. So once it's changed to becoming a black plus sign, we click, left click, hold down, and then drag over to the right. And what we've done here is we've now propagated that equation over to each of our accompanying cells. Okay, the same idea for standard deviation. We now click standard deviation equals STDEV. Okay. Open parenthesis, select our data, press enter, and now we have the data. Again, we can propagate over by the bottom right-hand corner, click and drag over. So now we have the standard deviation for each of our measurements. And now for the relative standard deviation, we'll want to do an equation. So we're going to go equals our standard deviation divided by our average times, which is a star, 100. And that gives our relative standard deviation of 3.15. Again, we can go on the bottom right-hand corner and we can propagate over. Okay, the last thing I'd like to do before we close the video is to adjust for significant figures. So we can see above here, these are all mass measurements here. So they are all set to our to 4 decimal places. So our average recording here should not be more than 4 decimal places. So if we go up, so we're clicked onto home here, the home tab, under number, these 2 operations here adjust our number of decimal places. So we can either increase our number of decimal places or we can decrease our number of decimal places. So we want to adjust that so that we have 4 decimal places because that is the precision of our analytical balance that we're using.